Hello my friends, welcome back. Painting with Harold. And I've got a 16 by 20 tonight. Turned on landscape, already covered in a thin even coat of liquid white. And to tell you what I've done so far, I took a little bit of yellow and a little bit of bright red and I made an orange. I took some alizarin crimson and sap green, about the same amount of each. And then I added a little more alizarin crimson. I made a brown, just a little bit to the alizarin side. And then my other colors tonight are white, titanium white. That brown I made. I got a little bit of mountain mixture, alizarin crimson, dark sienna, Van Dyke brown, midnight black, sap green, cad yellow, yellow ochre, Indian yellow, that little bit of orange I made, and bright red. And I guess all that's left is to paint a picture. So we can get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up just a little bit of this orange on my brush, very little bit. And I'm going to come up here, let's see, a little above half. And I'm just going to come across here and just lightly add me a little orange streak across the sky. Across here, just like so. And I'm going to rub that until it gets kind of light. I don't want it real bright. And with the same brush, I'm going to go right next door and I'm going to pick up just a little bit of Indian yellow, and I'm going to tap that right on my brush, and I'm going to come right above that, and I'm just going to bring it across real light, about like so. Alright, then I'm going to go right next door and I'm going to pick up just a little bit of yellow ochre, and I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to bring it up about the same, about like so. Then I'm going to go back into my orange again, and I'm going to bring up just a little bit more, just a real small line right above that ochre, and I'm going to bring it down into it just a little, to where it kind of stained that yellow ochre. And then I'm going to do the same thing right here with the orange. I'm going to bring it up into my Indian yellow just a little, and I want to lightly stain it with this orange, just real lightly. Now you can still see these colors. You can see the orange where it comes into the cad yellow, into the Indian yellow, and you can see the yellow ochre right in here. I'll put a little bit more so you can see it on camera. You can see where the yellow ochre is right in here. It's that golden kind of color. And then I'll put a little bit more orange right on top of it, across here where we can make the orange out like that. Yeah, about like that. Alright. Then I want to come up here and I want to grab, I'm not going to do it on this same brush. I'm going to wash this brush first, because I'm going to pick up a little bit of midnight black, and that's got enough of the black color in it that it will turn yellow green. I put that little orange band up there to try to prevent that, but sometimes you don't get lucky, and we don't want a bright green sky, so We're going to try to avoid it if we can. Alright. Then I want to get just a little bit of the Midnight Black, tap it on the brush. Now the Midnight Black has got a lavender, kind of a lavender tone to it. So when you first come up, we're going to do it real light. We want this first one to be real light, just like so. Not like that. Now we're going to go right next door to that color, and we're going to pick up just a little bit of Van Dyke brown, and we're going to bring back over into the black. And we're going to mix these two colors right on the brush. That's Van Dyke brown and Midnight Black. And I'm mixing them right on the brush where they're kind of equal in parts. And that's going to make that black a little bit darker. And we're going to bring it right across the top. And we'll brush it across here until it gets a little gray. Not like so. About like that. And we're going to hang on to this brush a second, because we're going to go and pick up a 2-inch brush now. Well, I tell you what, before we do that, I'm going to take my another clean, dry 1-inch brush, and I'm going to come up here and tap right into titanium white. I almost forgot this part. I'm just going to tap on some titanium white, and I'm going to come in here, let's say about here, and I want to make me just a little bright spot here, and just start working it around. The further you go out, the darker it's going to get, as always. And just like so. Get that little hair off there. Then I'm going to pick up, I'm going to knock some of that color off my brush first before I do anything. Then I'm going to come back and pick up just a little more white. And we'll come back in the same spot again. And I just want this spot to be kind of bright. And then I want to work the color out. Just pull it out this way. About like so. Alright. I am done with that brush. I'm going to take my finger. No, I ain't going to do that yet either. I'm just steady trying to get ahead of myself today. Alright, first thing we're going to do now is I'm going to use this 2-inch brush, and I'm going to come right under my orange, and I'm going to start lightly rubbing it across, and I'm going to go all the way up, just lightly blending these colors. Just lightly blend them. What we're looking for is where one color starts and another color stops. We want a smooth transition in color. We don't want a harsh line across here in none of the colors. We just want all of them to blend right together and be smooth all the way off the canvas, just like that. Like so. Leaving this side here open for a reason. There's going to be stuff over there later on in the painting, so we won't worry about it right now. Alright, now this little 1-inch brush that we used earlier, that we put that color on top, we can come over here now, and we can come right under our dark color here, and we can just kind of tap across here like so. Come down under it a little bit and tap in. We're just going to make us a couple little indications of some clouds up here. Just little floating clouds is all we're looking for. Nothing real spectacular up here. Just a couple little clouds here and there. They can be distant. Just that's all we're looking for. Then pick up my 2-inch brush, and we'll come back up here. I'm just gonna lightly brush over these. Just kind of fade them out a little. Just about like so. Just barely can see them. I just want to know they're up there. They don't have to do anything real special. I just want them present. Alright. And then I want to take my finger now, and I want just a little bit of paint. I don't want much. And I'm going to come right up here, and I'm just going to give myself an indication of a small sun. And it don't have to be no brighter than that. Then I'm going to knock the color out of this 2-inch brush again. And I just want to come across that and softly, just real softly set it down into the painting to where you can barely see it. Like it's just real far off. Alright, now we'll go ahead and wash this brush. And before I get too far ahead of myself, I'll go ahead and wash all 3 of these brushes right quick. That way we'll have them if we need them. I'm going to take a little second to do this. I may be submitting this painting into a little local deal that we got going on here. So I'm kind of going to have to take my time on it and put a little more work into it than I do my regular videos. So y'all may get sick of watching me be a stickler for details tonight, but I really need this one to look pretty good. They haven't announced yet if they're still going to have the contest, but if they do, I'd like to participate in it, but we'll see what happens. I think this little painting right here would be one of those kind that would be alright to enter into it. Alright, now I'm going to pick up my big knife, and we'll come right up here to my mountain mix, pull it out flat as always, and I'm going to pick up a little roll. Alright, I'm going to come let's see, I'm going to come about right here. And I'm going to come down about like so. And then I'm going to, let's see. Alright, I'll come back over here first. Alright, I want to come out of here with a point. And I'm going to come out of here with a point. Alright, then I want to come back up here now. And I want to work on this peak. I want to build a pretty mountain, or as pretty as I can. I really need one in this painting to kind of set the tone for a few things. Alright, I'll bring this in now. Start pulling out some of this color. And just like always, when I'm building a mountain, you want to make sure you got your outside line. That's always important. That outside line is what sets your I don't want to say cleanliness, but it really is. It's what sets your shape. It gives you. I wish I could explain stuff better. But without that shape, you don't really have a mountain. You just got anything but a mountain, really. Alright, then I'm going to come over here on this side, and I'll come out a little, about like so. I'll bring this down, not like that, and I'll put another little kick out on it right there, about like so. Alright, now on this mountain here, I don't have to pull it out, like always, like we normally do. We won't have to do that on this particular mountain, which you'll see in a few minutes. Alright, come up here, and you can hear that knife scraping. I'm trying to get as much of this paint out as I can through here. I don't know if that's one of my favorite sounds in the world, but it sure ranks up there awful high. I love that sound for some reason. Alright, now I'll get me another little roll. And I want to come right through here now. About like so. I want to bring up another little peak across here. I just want to get it. I want to get it to where it's not quite above that cloud. I want that cloud to be just a little above it, enough to where it just looks like it's hanging over that part of that mountain a little bit. Just sitting there. And then I don't want it too flat across the top, because then it'll look like a volcano. And that's the last thing I need to try to paint, is a volcano. Alright, then I'll put a little kick out on it right there and pull it on in. Now if y'all getting bored from watching this one, I'll understand it, because I'm telling you, I gotta really take my time on this one. Put that little kick out right there. And I don't want you thinking that, I've been taking shortcuts on any of my rest of my stuff, because I hadn't. This is the same techniques. It's just basically whatever, you take the same techniques that I've been teaching, and you can do the same thing I'm doing right now with this same type of mountain. At any time you get ready. I mean, it's not that different. Everything I'm doing right here is the same thing that we always do. It's just that I'm being extra careful. Alright, about like that right there. That's what I'm looking for. And I want to come up here and start pulling out as much of this paint as I can. About like so. Alright, then I'll clean my knife up. Now I'll take one of them 1-inch brushes that we just washed. And I'll come back up here and I'll start right over here at the edge and pull down. I'm going to pull this color down and out on this side, about like so. Come up into the top, grab some of that paint, pull it down, like so. Same thing over here. Lay that brush down and ease up to that edge. Keep in mind, if you go to picking up too much paint, just knock a little of it out. And you can tell when you got too much paint on your brush because it'll start pulling paint rather than absorbing it. It'll just make a light spot that you just made light. It'll go right over it and make it back dark. And that's not what we're looking for. Alright, we'll pull this one straight down over here. We don't need no more color over there than we have to have. And in this paint, we don't have to worry about, or we don't have to wonder where our light's coming from. We already know our sun's right there. So. Alright, that's what we're looking for. Something about like that. Knock all this color out. Come back up here. Put it in the mist. Just lightly rub across here. Like so. Now we can wash that brush. And we can pick our knife up again now. Come right up here, get us a little bit of our titanium white. Pull it out as flat as we can get it. Always remember, pull that paint out as flat as you can get it. That is so important. Alright, we're going to grab a little roll of paint. We'll come right here at this first little peak. And we're just going to start very lightly. Very lightly pull this color down. Just like always. Very lightly. No pressure at all. No pressure at all. Just very lightly. Pull this color down. About like so. I'm gonna come right here. We're gonna do the same thing. All right, now with that sun right there, we know it's gonna hit here, but when it hits here, it's gonna cast a shadow this way. So we don't need a lot of white right here. Now you can figure some of the rays may go right across the top of that, and it may hit that mountain about right here. But for the most part, as low as that sun is, almost like a sunset. And we may go back and put a little more light in that, I don't know yet. But it's going to come across here, and in through here, it's going to cast a shadow. So I'm going to say that the majority of this is going to be in shadow across here. And I know we usually don't worry about that kind of stuff, and we just get up here and our light side has all highlights. But we're going to worry about the shadow a little bit today. I think this side here is gonna, I think it's gonna show a little more light up high than it does down low. Because of the, see, like down in here, I think it's gonna be a little darker. So we'll let that color kind of gray out a little bit, just a little, and then we want to maintain our white up here. So and just barely pull it down. And we basically just want to keep up with where we're at, and just continue to let our paint break as we come down, pulling in these little just barely moving that knife a little along. But even still, you know, I think, like I said, I think there's going to be a line across here that's mainly shadow. And I think the peak up here is going to be about the only thing that really lights up. Maybe, you know, the peak and a little bit down the side right there. But I really think everything else is going to be in shadow. And to do that, what we'll do is we'll use this white over here on this side, because we still want it lighter than the other shadow that we're going to have. But what we'll do is we'll tone it down some. And then we'll make our actual shadow with another color. If that just made any sense to you. Like right in here, we'll come out and we'll form a little peak out here that kind of look like a little ridge almost. And then we'll just pull it in like so. And we'll kind of let it darken down some too. And then we'll just keep it going out here all the way down to the bottom over here. About like so. About like that. Then we'll start working this color out. Let it pick up some of this dark. And that way it'll fall into our gray category over here. Just real easy. About like so. Just a little bit of this on down. Kind of blend this together right in here. And we'll work on pulling some more of this down. Get this color out here to where it's, see, it's almost too perfect of a break right there. I don't know that a mountain would really do that perfect. So I tell you what I'll do. I'll come up here and I'll bring this around this way to kind of give it more of a rocky look. And then keep this up here more at an angle. Get my dark back in there. About like so. Keep it on the gray side best we can. Right through here. Remember. That's the only way I know of showing darkness without, just adding a real funky color up there. Alright, we'll come up here and pull some of this out because this color's starting to like so. Because that little spot right there is getting the most light out of all of this. So, alright, now we need to make us a shadow color. And to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my mountain mix and I'm going to bring just a little over. That much. If you can see that much on, it's just a very little bit. Bring that much over. And I'll come up here and I'll grab about that much white. And I'm going to bring it down into this color. Then I'm going to add just a very little bit of midnight black. Oh, that's too much. About that much. Now that mountain mix and that midnight black having that lavender color in it, will and then having the white in it too is going to turn into like a light color lavender. And we may have to darken this color up just a little bit. So to darken it up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up just a little bit of Van Dyke brown, about as much of the other colors as we put in here. And I'm going to bring it over here and put it in this color. And now it darkened it up a pretty good bit. So now we've got this kind of a ugly brown gray look. And I'm going to see what that color looks like up here. And if it don't look right, we'll change it. Because we need a good looking shadow color, and we don't want to use a solid black color. So we'll see how this works right here. Pull a little of this, and we want to leave some of our black this time too, that we put down, our actual base mountain color. We want to leave some of it. I'm going to pull this color right over here real lightly to it. And then come right up here, if you can see how I'm doing that, right to the white, up here on this peak, and just barely pull this color down. Going in the opposite direction that your highlight's going. And just very lightly pull it down. Let some of that dark show in there. You're kind of letting the paint, you're kind of letting your shadow color break too. Because what we're going to have to do when we get right here is we're going to pull this darker color. Alright. I'm not 100% crazy about that color. Alright, I'm going to try to darken it up just a little bit more with some more midnight black. Just a little bit. That may put a little more of that purple look in it, but maybe I'll get away with it. Let's see. Yeah, I like that better. Alright, that's the color we'll go with. We want to pull a little of this down and just let it lightly break across here. And bring it right up to this color. Just real light. Just kind of let it work its way out like that. And let's see how this mountain peak is way down and this one's way back, like that at an angle. If that creates a problem here in a few minutes, we'll have to fix that. I'm hoping it don't create a problem, but you never know. Alright, now I want to come across here. I still want to bring that shadow across like so, because I really think this little mountain's going to cast a shadow over here on this side. I'm about to run in there like that. So just bring it on over, about like so. About like that. And we'll probably still have shadow out here, as far as I know. There'll probably be a little, because I still don't think that light's going to make it over here. About like that. I think we can work with that. Alright. Then we'll come over here to this peak, and we'll come up. We'll start right here You start pulling it down, not like so. And come up here and just real lightly pull some of that color down. And pull it in the opposite direction of your highlights. Just like so. Got to do it on this peak here too. Like so. Alright, let's smooth this out a little bit up here. Get out here on that edge. Okay. And tell you what I'll do. I will clean my knife off right quick. And I'll pick me up just a little bit of white. And I'll come back up here and I'll fix this little edge running down through here. Like so. And I'll come back and pull it down into my gray color here. Like so. Real easy. Alright. Now, I'm going to pick up a 1-inch brush and we'll come right in here and we'll brush this color back like so. Just kind of smooth it out across here and just I'm going to do the same over here for now. Because we got a few things that's gotta happen up here yet. Like across here now. We know this is going to be pretty bright right in here where that sun is. So we got to light that up pretty good. In fact, we'll even give it a little punch. Put some Indian yellow in there. We'll bring that Indian yellow color under here, kind of like so. And just kind of let it work its way up a little bit, like it's hitting that, turning that snow yellow. Oh, you know what they say about yellow snow? I don't know why I'm worrying about this, because this is going to be covered up. So, it really don't matter. But we'll do it just in case some of it gets seen. Just like that. Just in case. I don't think it will, but You never know. Alright, now I'm going to pick up my little soft blender brush that I got. This little sable. And I'm going to blend this valley together right here. I want to kind of smooth it out to where it actually looks like a little shadow coming across here. Not like so. Like the mountains casting shadow this way. And then let it fade out on this side. Not like this. Alright. Pull this down, real easy like. Alright. Then we'll pull up into it to remove that brush stroke. Just real light. Real light. Lights. I'll come over here and pick up a little of this white. Bring it down. Alright, then we'll bring this side. Do it the same way. Let it kind of fade away in here. So alright, that still looks a little bit, just a little bit too straight of a line across there, so let's work that out a little bit. About like that. Yeah, there we go. Now. Yep, I like that better. And we'll blend that out a bit, like so. Then I'll come over here and kind of smooth this side down a little bit. But this side won't need a lot. Because a lot of this side's going to get covered up. Alright, then we'll clean that little brush. And I think what I'm going to do now is build this little mountain a little bit, make him a little bit bigger. And I'm just going to do that by taking some white and coming up here. And just pulling it down a little further. It's got a little yellow in it, but it'll be alright. This side's actually going to be a little bit of brighter anyway, since it's over on our sun side. Just pull it on down, like so. Like that. That's all we gotta do. Maybe put a couple little jagged edges out here on that so it ain't too perfect. Not like so. Yeah, because it's already got a shadow behind it. Alright, but now what we're going to do is we're going to go and pick up the original Mount Mix color. Just straight on the little knife blade. We're going to come up here and we're going to add a couple dark spots and on this side. And you can just touch these in places, and it don't really matter what they look like right now, because we're going to work them out. Everywhere you put one, we're going to come up and we're just going to kind of work it into the paint. Just touch it and kind of just pull it down in the color until it just kind of fades away or blends in. Just try to make it look as natural as you can, you know. Because it is the dark color. So, but what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to pick up that little blender brush that we used a minute ago, and we're going to use it to kind of blend out a couple places to make it look right. And then we just barely streak this side. We don't want much in this side at all. Maybe a little bit up here in our white in a couple places. Just very, very little. And maybe a little bit over here. Because wherever we put this, we're going to come back, like I said, and we're going to work it out. In fact, that's what we're fixing to do right now. I got my little sable brush. I'll start on this side. I'm just going to lightly pull that color down. Right in there. Let it. Now you can, like if you see that color doing something and you like what it's doing, you ain't got to fool with it. Just leave it where it is. Like right in here, I kind of like what it's doing right there, so I'm not going to be too rushed to pull that out of there. I'm going to leave it in there. But just give it a good look over and, you know, make sure it looks natural. Don't just leave a bunch of dark spots up here for no reason. Make them look like they're actually doing something, like they have a purpose. There's that dark color blending into that lighter color that was under there. Gives it more of a natural shade looking color. And when you get over here to the white, you really gonna have to be gentle with this. You just wanna grab it and just barely pull it down to where it kind of just sits in there. About like that. And then in some places you can come back and kind of real lightly blend it in a little better. You just have to have a real light hand with this. Just real light. You don't want to use much pressure up here, because you want everything softly blended. You don't want to smear anything. Because if this color gets up here and goes to smearing, it's just not gonna have a natural appearance. In here like so. I'll pull this down a little bit across here. And then clean up that harsh edge right there. Don't let it get too harsh right in there. Not like so. Because I really believe this side's going to cast shadow over here. Alright, tell you what I'll do. I'll clean this up. And I'll get just a hair more white. Make sure this brush is good and dry. And I'll grab just a little bit more white, and I'll barely pull it in here a couple places to kind of clean some of that gray up. Kind of lighten it down some. Then I'll pick up my little knife, and with just a little bit of paint, I'll come back up here, and I'll make it look thick. Not like so, in a couple places. Not like that. Hit this little edge here again to kind of rough it back up, make it rugged. Like so. Alright, now we reach in here now and grab some of this white, pull it down. That should help a lot. Right, then we'll come over here. I'm going to fix this a little bit. This color out like so, across here, like that. shadow color come in there. And I'm gonna say that'll, whew, what a mess I got on my hands. Oh my goodness. Alright, I'm gonna take a 1/8 brush and just very lightly come in here and pull that up just a little bit. And then come across here and smooth this on the light side. Like that. Alright, then I'll come up here and start just lightly tapping the bottom, like we always do. Across here, and across here. A lot of gray, a lot of dark color to mess with through here. Alright, if they go to getting too loud, I'll just turn it off and turn it back on when they get quiet. Because I know don't nobody care about hearing them. I know I don't. Not tonight. Alright. Pull these colors up real lightly. And we'll work the bottom out over here. And work the bottom out over here. They really don't really, this side ain't really important, but I gotta do it just out of practice and habit. So, alright, I'm gonna come up here and do something to this yellow across here, because this really ain't even gonna be seen. And I don't need some stupid stuff in this painting to mess it up, because that color ain't even gonna be seen. We'll just leave it there for a little reflection color now, just like that. Alright. I may have to take a cleanup break here. Get all this paint off my hands. I'm covered in paint. Alright, I think I will make my sun a little more seen up here. Just a little. It don't have to be much, because I'm thinking in my mind it's just kind of off in the backdrop. Alright. I'm going to take a little break here and I'll be right back. I'm going to get some of this paint off my hands. Alright, I think I got it all off. I had a good bit on me. Alright, I'm going to pick up a fan brush now. Number 6. And I'm going to go right over here into my midnight black color. And I'm going to come right over into the mountain mix color. And I'm going to mix these two colors right on the brush. That's mountain mix and midnight black. Mixing them right on the brush. Now I want to come just right here on this side of the mountain. And I'm going to start doing some little tappy trees over here. Just same way we always do them. Just trying to vary the sizes. Want some shorter, some taller. Try not to kill all the mist. Just about like so. And then you should push this mountain kind of back in the distance. That's what we're looking for. You can have some darker than others and some lighter than others. That'll just give it depth back here. Make it look like they're doing their own little thing in the world. Just try to keep them as straight as you can so they're not falling over and looking wind beat. However, you know, if you paint in a storm, well, then yours may need to have some bend on them. And if you paint in a storm, that's fine. You paint whatever you want. This is your world. Alright, and I want these to be a little darker because that color's trying to blend in on me right there. So I'll come in here and a couple spots and I'll just make it a little darker. That way we've got a contrast in there. See how that popped them out? And we'll come across here and pull them all down. About like so. That's what we're looking for. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go just a little bit further this way. Not much, but a little bit. Yep, about right there. As far as I'm gonna go. And I'll add a couple dark ones in here too. Just so they can now some of these we may be able to tell that they're evergreen. So we'll load the brush up and we'll pick us out a couple just at random. And we'll come back here and we'll just lightly tap on some indications of some needles on some of them that may be sitting out front. They don't have to have a lot of detail, just enough that you can tell it's an evergreen. It don't have to have very much detail at all. And this one here may be a tad bit closer, so we'll make him stand out a little bit. Just tap him on like that. This one here is kind of screaming out, so we'll give him a couple little to-dos. Then we'll come back and fade his bottom in, make him look like he's sitting back in the woods a little bit. And we'll hit this one over here a little bit. Just a little. And we'll let him set out front. Not like that. So the only one we're gonna hide is this one back here. So we'll work a little paint off our brush across here by bringing some of these on down a little bit. And we'll come up here and we'll just kind of fade his bottom out like that, working right down into the mix of things. And he'll just look like he's sitting inside the wood line back there. Alright, now I'm going to take my knife now and I'm going to pick up some of the color I was just using, the Mountain Mix and the Midnight Black, and I'll add a little bit of sap green to it and a little bit of Van Dyke brown to it because I'm looking for a color change here. And that sap green, it should come through enough to tell it's got some green in it, and that's really what we want it to do. It don't have to scream green, but we'd like for it to know it's got a little green hue in there. See? About like so. In fact, you can't see much of that green at all. So, but I still think it'll be a different color than what we got. And that's what we need. You always need a difference in color. Always. When you're leaving one thing and doing another, you got to have a difference in color. Alright, now before we do that, I'm going to come right up here and I want to lightly tap out the bottom of these trees across here. Just want to lightly tap out the bottom of them across like this. And I'm not hitting the canvas real hard. I'm kind of lightly doing this. Whereas usually you'd be slamming the canvas. I'm not really hitting it that hard right now. Alright, then I'll knock all that color out of my 1-inch brush. Now, with this procedure right here, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to pull this color straight up and I'm going to knock some of the color out. Alright, I'm going to go in between these trees and then knock some of that color out. Just like that. Every time I pull up, I'm knocking some of that color out. Every time. And then I'll come across here and I'll just kind of blend this away. Leave that mist there. In fact, you can come back if you need to and just right under the bottom of the mist, make some more mist. You shouldn't have to use any white paint right here because we got liquid white on the canvas. But if you need, to pick up a little white paint, well, you can. I don't have to. I got enough liquid white on my canvas that I'm alright for now. And right here I'm doing the same thing again. Pulling it straight up and knocking that little bit of paint out every time. Alright, now I'll come across here and blend this out one more time. Not like so. Alright, now with the same color, I'm going to take on this 1-inch brush and I'm going to pull it through this color and I'm going to load my 1-inch brush up and I want to come right across this mist and I want to just tap on a little, make a little heel in here and bring it back down. You don't have to let it be straight. Just give it a little character in here. carry this on off the canvas if you want to over here now, because we're going to go to work on this side here in a little bit. Alright, then over here we can kind of do the same thing. Alright, I'm gonna come back under this and give it a little body across here. And I'm just tapping on some color. That's all I'm doing. Just tapping on some color. If you want to, you can come in here and you can paint this color on. And then come back and tap it. Give it a little texture. And it's, you don't really have to. That's merely all preference. But now I will say this, the more you practice, doing a step, the more you'll get used to doing it every time. And a lot of using these brushes is getting a feel for them. You'll get to the point to where when you pick up a 2-inch brush and get ready to make a procedure with it or do a procedure with it, you'll know exactly what you're going to do and exactly how to do it. So keep that in mind, if you decide to paint this painting. You may not. I don't know. You may not even be watching this video as long as it's taken. Alright, I'm going to drop that brush in the thinner for now. And I'm going to pick up a 2-inch brush. And I'm going to get just a tiny bit of thinner on it. And we'll come right up here into my cad yellow. Maybe a little yellow ochre. And a little of the sap green. Won't be much sap green, but just a little. Maybe a little more thinner, because I want this paint to pull off this brush when I get up here. Got to load her up good. Alright. I'm going to come across here now, where we just put this grass, and I'm going to add a little highlight right in here. Just tapping it on. That's all you got to do. Just lightly tap. And if your paint's not pulling out the way you want it, get you a little more of that thinner. And each time you grab some thinner, just make sure it's very little bit, because it does not take much thinner to thin this paint down. Alright, we want it brighter out here, so keep more of your yellow out here if you can. About like so. Grab a little more of that ochre, kind of tone it down a little. Maybe a little more sap green. And remember, if you ever need to tone green down, pick you up a little red, because it makes brown. Alright, then we just want to come across here. Keep up with our little tapping motion, just tapping it on all the way across. Just real lightly. Always remember, when you're doing this, it's a real light touch. It's not a real heavy hand. And it'll make that grass just look so soft, and it just gives it a whole new look. Leave you a little dark in there so you can see depth in your grass. Across here. Just like so. Now it won't be seen as much over here. But it'll be seen some. Alright, we'll hang on to that brush for now because we're not through doing grass. We're gonna have a little bit left down here, or some down here, not much, but some. Alright. Next we're going to pick up the fan brush. It's just that number 6 that we used earlier. I got it clean and dry. Alright, I'm gonna come right over here to that color we made up a minute ago. That dark color that we put the green in. And I'm going to load up my fan brush on both sides. Pulling it through the paint. Now, I'm going to come right up here. Just a little bit beside my sun, and a little bit under it maybe. And I'm going to come straight down. Like so, right over those trees, and right down into the grass we just made. All right. Hope my hand ain't in the way here. All right. Let me move this brush. We got to use that again in a little bit. All right. I'm gonna come right up here, and I'm gonna tap just lightly, and then we'll come down, and I'm pushing the bristles of the brush up to where they pushing the limbs up on the tree, just bending it upward instead of down. Just like so. And you do it the same way. You come from the center out, and you just take your time. Now you can do it fast, you know, if you've made a bunch of them. But I'll try to go slow. Just like so, and then bring it right down into the grass, just like so. Alright, load the brush up again. Now this time, I'm going to come up just a little into the sun. Just a little. See that? And I'm going to bring another one down into the grass. And we're going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to tap these bristles up. Just tap them straight up. That's all we're doing. Straight up. If you run out of paint on one side, flip it over, use the other side. Just like so. Just like so. All the way down into the grass. Just like that. See, if you leave that color through the limbs like that, you can see back in there, it looks like atmosphere. So we're kind of getting away with that. Now, putting all of this dark up here should help our sun pop out a little. It should have it be seen some. Alright, we'll come right here next door to this one. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I hope my hand's out the way enough that y'all can see this. Start right there and just start working our way down. Just bending them up. Some of them may be kind of crooked. Some of them may be kind of straight. We don't know how these old trees grow. A couple of them may have got more water than the others. Old birds may have fertilized some of them and didn't fertilize others. We just put them in here. Just like so. And that color contrast so good on that multicolored yellow background up back there. That sky. That color looks so good. And we'll just finish it out. Right into the grass. See how dark that is down in here? When we come back and highlight our grass again, we're going to leave some shadow down there. Make it look mysterious and give it a little place for some animals to. Let me pull this forward. I'll slide it back when we start going forward. Give our little animals a place to hide and get away from the Bigfoot. Because this looks like one of the places old Bigfoot loved to roam around at. And that's the last thing we need. Him out there eating them little bitty animals. We'll come in here. Start again. Doing the same thing. Just pushing these bristles straight up. Alright, now y'all seen me do a couple, so I'm going to go ahead and speed up a little bit. Get them in here where I can get to another step in this process. I've got a switch coming that is supposed to work on my other camera. And when I get that switch in, if it works and I can figure out how to make it work, I'll be able to set a camera up on my palette where whenever I'm mixing colors, you'll be able to see how I mix them, which will be it'll be a little extra work when I go to edit the video, but I think in order to see the paint being mixed up, I think it'd be worth it. I really do. I think that would help a lot with because loading the brush sometimes is real important. Which I shouldn't say sometimes, most of the time. How you load your brush is real important. And I try to pick the palette up when it gets to one of those where it's real crucial. You know, to where you can still see that, but it'd be nice to have the palette out to where when we're mixing colors you can see it, and when you load the brush you can see that too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Uh-oh, we're going to have an even number of trees. Oh my goodness. We're going to get the law called on us. Somebody is going to call the tree police on us. Well, maybe they won't. we are breaking the rules tonight, ladies and gentlemen. On Paint with Her. I can't believe y'all hanging out with a outlaw like me. Oh well. If somebody's gonna sit there and count my trees, then they're not looking at my art for what it is. They're looking at it for a totally different reason. Alright. And I got that one in there. I'm not gonna come in there and squeeze another one in just for it. I ain't gonna do it. Alright. We'll wash this brush right quick. And while it's over in the thinner, I'll come in here and pick me up a little dark sienna. And grab me a little white and pull into it. Uh-oh, I got a hair in there. I'll leave it kind of marbled. Get that little roll of paint. You come up here and start adding in a trunk on our little pines that we just made. Here and there. I'll grab a little more. And a little more. And then here. Then we'll clean the knife. And we'll take just the heel of the knife and come up here to the top of these trees and kind of pull aside a little peak to give them a sharp point out here. Well, isn't that nice? Well, those just look alive, don't they? Alright. Tell you what, while we're working on them, I'll go ahead and put my brush back to it. I'll go ahead and wash this fan brush right quick. Alright. Now, that same color that we used to make the trees with, I'm going to grab a little bit of it on my fan brush and we'll pull it over here into my yellows. And that way we got a good dark green color. I don't want a real light color, because in my opinion these trees are just a little bit of thinner put in this. Them trees are actually in front of the sun, so the sun may hit a few of them out on the bristles, but for the most part they're actually behind the sun, so I don't think we'll have a whole lot of real bright highlights. Alright, we'll come back up here now and just touch on the color here and there. Won't take much, because sometimes when you're staring right into the sun, all you're going to see is a silhouette anyway of a real dark color. You won't actually see the color of an object. when you go across these stems, it picks that brown up sometimes. It makes your color a little darker. But now if you start getting darker as you get down to the bottom, that's fine. Because that's where our shadow's going to be anyway, so that's not a big deal. Alright. Now I'll come over here and grab a little Indian yellow. Bring it over here. That won't lighten it up much, but it'll lighten it up just a little. It'll give it kind of a glow to the green, but not much. Not enough that it's going to hurt anything. Alright, we'll come up here and start touching on this color. Just add some highlight here and there. Make sure we leave plenty of dark. But at the same token, make sure you cover that trunk in some places too, because that's real important. Because covering that trunk in places make it look like you got limbs coming out to you. And that give your tree a kind of a rounded look. Alright. Grab a little bit more. Come up here on this one. Give him some highlights. And when you go to highlighting these with this dark of a highlight color, when you first touch it, you know, if you don't see it, you know, if it don't come off your brush, don't go to trying to push harder. Just come over and get you just a drop of thinner on your fan brush and mix in your color. Or if you'd rather use liquid white, you can. The only thing with using liquid white is it's gonna brighten your color up some. So you have to be aware of that. Make sure your color's a little darker than you'd like for it to be if you're gonna use liquid white. Now, if you wanted to use liquid white, as far as like highlighting somewhere that's actually got a lot of sunshine, liquid white's great for that, because it'll it'd be helpful to have your color brightened up then. Now I'm trying my best to keep my arm out of the way here, but that's almost impossible. I'm trying to keep my big old head out of the way too. Alright, I just skipped a tree just to go highlight another tree. Why did I do that? I heard y'all hollering that time. I don't know who that was. I said, "You forgot that one?" And I got to looking, I said, "Yeah, you're right, I did." Alright, I got a little brown built up right here this time on my trunk. So I'm gonna lightly go across it, and I'm gonna make sure I got a little bit of thinner in my color too, because if not, it's going to want to smush that brown, and I don't want to do that. I want it to come right across the top of it and just stick to it. I can live with the texture, I just can't live with that brown color coming out and contaminating the tree. I'm not so much worried about the texture of it. Yeah, that looks good. See how it makes it look like those limbs are coming out towards you when you do that? Alright. Let me get back over here on this one y'all were screaming about. Alright, I did in fact sign up to do live on YouTube. And I think around 2 a.m. this morning I should be qualified. I guess that's what you call it. I don't really know. But you had to apply and wait 24 hours. And I did that. And I think my 24 hours will be up at 2 a.m. And I'll be able to go live. So I just got to figure out how to go live. And once I figure out how to do it, I'll come up with a pretty decent little painting we can do live. And we'll do like a question and answer session. And I'll have a canvas sitting here ready to go just in case the questions are about how to do something. We may get to the point where we can actually, just build it as a painting during the session. And if not, if it ends up being another way of going the other way, we'll go with that way. We're gonna do whatever works. All right, I gotta put out a little yellow now because I'm just gonna get back in our grass. And I may have to back up from this painting just a little bit to see what that looks like with that sun back there. I think it looks pretty good from where I'm at. It's to the point where you can see it anyway, so I guess that's a good thing. Alright, I'm coming right back up here in my colors now. And I got me some more yellow I can work with. And I'm going to come right under these trees. And I'm going to treat it just like it's grass under here. I just don't want to kill all that dark. I want to leave some dark under them. Just like that. And come right on out. And tie everything right back in. Just like it's supposed to be. Alright, now I'm going to pick up a little small fan brush. I got a little, where's it at? I got a little small one right here, number 3. I'm going to get just a little bit of thinner on it. And we'll come back up here in this yellow. And I'm going to tap just a little bit of it on my brush. And I want to come right there at that grass line. And I just want to tap up a little indication of a little bit of grass growing down around the bottom of these trees here. A little bit taller grass. And still not killing all that dark under it. See? We just got a little bit taller grass growing out here. Right here too. Make it look like a little bush in a couple places if we need to. Not like that. And we're done with that brush. And then I'll come back. And then I'll come back under there and just lightly tap on some color and bring that right back down into the painting. Just like so. Yeah, I can live with that. Okay. Now I'm gonna use a 2-inch brush just to make this process go faster. I'm gonna go back up here in my color, my dark color, and I'm gonna just get back to tapping it on down here. I'm gonna come across here like so. After we get a little more to Van Dyke Brown to bring in here, a little more to mountain mix and whatever we need. And just come back up here and tap this color on, and we can just paint it on. I just want it dark down here, that's all we want. Just a dark color down at the bottom. About like so. Then we can come back in here and just tap in a couple places to get our texture back. Just like so. That's just putting a, let's move this back where you can see it. That's just, can you see the bottom of that canvas in that camera shot? Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. And just like that across here. That's all we want to do. That's it. Just like so. Okay. And I'll drop that brush in the thinner. So now, I guess all we're going to do is, for the next few minutes, is work on grass. And I could turn the camera off if y'all don't want to watch this. So that's the kind of stuff y'all need to be telling me in the comments. You know, if I got a big area to do like this, say, you know, it's not necessary for us to watch you do the whole field in grass, Harold. Because if you don't want to watch it, I'll turn it off. Turn it back on when I get done. But unless you comment me your thoughts, I don't have a clue what it is y'all thinking. So keep that in mind when you're watching one of my videos and you get to thinking about something. And it don't matter what it is. I mean, if it's something that you see me doing that you don't like, or something you don't understand, well, tell me. I'm just human. I won't get offended or mad. In fact, I'll probably try to work on whatever it is and try to make it better. Because I want this channel to be for y'all as much as I do for myself. So if y'all not enjoying it, then it's not going to be for y'all. Y'all going to quit watching it. Then I ain't going to have no channel at all. So just kind of communicate. You know, tell me if I'm doing something that you don't agree with. Alright. That's a pretty little field of grass right there. I'm going to hang on to this brush just in case we need it again. I'm going to go ahead and wash this big 2-inch brush I used. Because we're just going to get into some fun now. Fun, fun, fun. And that's the name of the game. You gotta have fun. Because if we're not enjoying it, there's no sense in doing it. Alright, remember way back in front of this video when I said I made a brown color? And I said I used it with, I made it with sap green and alizarin crimson. Well, I'm fixing to use that color now. I'm tapping a 2-inch brush right into it. And I want to come right up here and I just want to start giving myself the indication of some little tree shapes. I'm just using the corner of the brush here. Just pull it out and tap you on some tree shapes. I mean, this will look like several trees back here actually when we get done. And it's going to come into the mountain a little bit, but that's okay too. Just like that. That's all we're doing. Is just tapping on some color across here. Alright, now we get almost to the grass here. I want this color to get dark again. So since I'm about to use all my midnight black, I'm gonna go over here and find it right quick. And I'm gonna put out a little more. I usually put too much color out. I didn't tonight. I didn't put enough. But I would rather have not enough than I had too much. Alright, here we go. Alright, so now I'm going to put out some midnight black. And I'm going to leave that same color that's on that brush, that same brown. I'm going to come back up here and kind of finish out a couple spots. Put in some more leaves here and there, because like I'm telling you, this is going to look like a bunch of trees back here when we get done. Alright, now I'm going to go right in there to the midnight black we just put out with that same color on the brush, and I'm going to change my directions this time. I'm going to go tapping my 2-inch brush like this. Just like so. Make like several little bushes across here. And then just like this, you can turn the brush sideways and just kind of kind of like when you're doing water, and just bring you some bushes out into the field a little bit, just like so. The only difference here is we don't have to worry about no reflections. So about like that, just kind of give yourself some bushes growing out here in the field, about like so. Just make sure it's good and dark at the bottom, so when we come back and work on the grass, we can fix all this. Alright, now I'm going to grab a napkin now, and I'm going to clean this. I'm going to knock a lot of this paint out before I put it in my thinner bucket, because I had that brush loaded. Alright. Now we'll pick up my script liner, and we'll come right up here, and we'll go right back into this dark color, get it loaded up, twist it in that paint, get it covered. You want to come up here and just give it the indication of a bunch of little trunks back in here, and a bunch of little arms and branches, and just wherever, you know. The majority of them probably won't even get seen, but like we always say, we you know, at least we got the practice of doing it. Just put in as many branches back here as you think you got trees, you know. It don't really matter, because that's going to look like, it's just going to look like several little trees back here. Then you can come back and kind of clean them up some, so they don't look like you wasn't trying to paint them, you know. And just have some crooked, some straight. Alright. Then we're going to come here in this big old bush, and we'll put a, get a little more thinner here. We'll give him a, trunk. And we'll come over here with a trunk. We'll make this little bush look like it's 2 or 3 little bushes too. About like so. Okay. Alright. I'll tell you what I will do. I will, I think I'll take a break and do some brush cleaning right quick. I know y'all don't want to sit here through that, so I'll be right back. Alright, got all the brushes clean, and now I'm going to pick up one of the 1-inch brushes that I just cleaned, and I'm going to put just a little bit of thinner on it. Shake it off. I'm going to come up here in my yellow, in my cad yellow, and I'll pick just a little more to green up. Won't take much. I'm just tapping it right in. Just tapping it right in the bristles. Alright. Then I'll come up here, and I'm going to just start very lightly touching some of this up here. And remember, we're building a tree. You know, don't just come up here and go to touching at random. Remember, it is a tree. So give it a little tree shape while you're doing this. And don't kill all the dark. You gotta leave some dark in here. Not like so. That's all we're trying to do. Is just build some little trees in here. We can bring a little of the ochre in if we need to. Just to give it a different flavor every now and then. And don't forget, once we get down here behind that mountain, we're going to lose a lot of light. So, you know, we got to try to keep that in mind. So we're not going to have as bright a highlight colors as we do up here, where the sun might actually be hitting it. So that ochre kind of tone this color down a little bit for us when we get back in here. And it won't be as bright a green. It'll be more of a dull color. Now that's not to say that, you know, we got to get up here and make it a dark, ugly color. We just kind of want to dull it down some, that it's not standing out here gleaming in the sun that don't exist. And if you go to having problems getting that color off, remember, pick you up just a little bit of thinner. It don't take much. Whenever I say a little thinner, most of the time, imagine if you had a thimble, it'd be about half that. About half a thimble full. Like a medicine dropper, maybe 2 drops out of a medicine dropper. That's all it takes. Because you don't want to thin all your paint. You just want to thin down a little bit you're working with. And that's how you would go about doing that. Just thin down a little bit of it. Alright. I'm gonna say it darkened it up pretty good. It looks like it did to me. Alright. I'll come right in here, give it a couple more little touches. Alright, now I'm going to change brushes, because by changing brushes we can make the bush trees here look more bushy. So I think I'll make them with the oval brush, that little half oval. Alright, I got me one that's got the black handle on it now, so mine kind of matches y'all's a little bit. Alright, so let's say that now this bush here is setting a little more out in the field. And truth be known, this one is too, really. So I guess we shouldn't even been too worried about the mountain. Alright, I'm going to pick me up a little of the yellow ochre and alizarin crimson. Get that peach color that I'm always using. And I'll mix it right here on my little brush. Remember, you want to make sure your bristles are open. Always remember that. Alright, then I'm going to come right up here and I'm going to start making this little bush, or this little tree. And we want to leave some dark in him too. Always got to leave that dark. We can say that these are little bushes that just hadn't made their way in life yet. They're working on it though. They're working hard to get there. And as you making these, you know, if you wanna add a little more ochre, or you know, a little decayed yellow, just to, you know, give it a color change, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact, I would advise it. That give it a little different flavor in here. It'll make it look more natural. Just don't forget, you know, if you pick up some more thinner, not to get so much that it turns your paint soupy. Because soupy paint will stop your bristles up too. Just like too thick of a paint will, so will soupy paint. Not to mention if it's too thin, when you come up here to the canvas, it'll just want to run on you and smear. It's kind of hard to control when it gets to that consistency. We'll come right down here and make us another little indication. We'll come out here and hit this one a little bit, about like so. We'll come over here and hit that one a little bit, not like that. Alright, now I'm going to swap brushes again. This time I'm going to pick up the little round brush, this one here. And the reason I'm doing that is I want these bushes to look different than those and that. So now I'm going to drop a little thinner on it. And now I'm going to come back in here into my yellow and my green colors. That way when we start right here, we know for a fact that we are changing colors. Boy, that is a little green firecracker right there. Leaves, I didn't right there as much as I needed to. But we got to remember in the future when we come across here, leave a little dark. Because we're going to work on this grass again under it. Alright, then I'm going to come over here into my ochre color. Bring a little lid over here in my yellow. We'll come right under this one and give it a nice little shape. Be sure to leave some dark under it. Not like so. Leave it a little dark under the bottom. And pick up some of the Indian yellow. Get just a tip more thinner. We'll come over here under here and make us another one. We'll leave a little dark under that one. Let's come over here in our bright red. Let's put a little flavor in it here, out here. We kind of need a little flavor. We'll hit this one with some bright red. See, it turned it orange on us. That's okay too. Orange is not an ugly color. And this time we'll get some more bright red. Since we're in that orange field. We'll come up here. Now we got us a little firecracker going on. There we go. Put us in a little red one right there. And pick up just a hair more thinner. We can come back up in here to our ochre and crimson. And we can get us a little bit of peach color going on out here too. Put us another little doodad in, just like so. And then we will pick up our brush that's got our grass color in it. Get a little thinner on it. Shake it out. Come over here. Get in my yellow and my green. that's contaminated with all kind of colors now. And I'll just come across here and leave a little of that dark under them, and just kind of work it up to where we don't have too straight a line under here, and just lightly tap it on. Just make sure you got enough dark under here that it, you know, it looks like part of the landscape. Alright. I am going to try to fix this spot up here just a little bit. I'm not real happy with that. There we go. Now, I like that a little better. Alright. I am really contemplating on whether to put a barn in this or not. I don't think I am. I think what I'm going to do now is scratch me in some little sticks and twigs along here. Just in a couple places. Maybe a couple of these bushes here. A couple back here maybe. And I used to, and I think I'll do it in this one. I think I'll put a, no, I'm not. I'm going to leave it just like it is. Because that's a real pretty area right there. There's one thing I want to do. And I'm going to do it with a filbert brush right quick. I'm going to come over here into this green color. And I just want to come up here and touch on the indication here and there of a little bush back here. This is something that's kind of real light colored. It don't have to stand out real a whole lot. Just something to kind of break this straight line up. Just kind of more or less tap it to, you know, if it disappears, that's fine too. Just kind of work some of this color in to where it don't just look all straight. But I want this to be so far back that we can't really tell what's happening. But at the same token, it'll get rid of some of that stuff in the trees too. About like that. It looks fairly good. I'm gonna come across here and fix some of these. It's got these real bright spots on them, because I think them would be kind of under shadow really. In fact, there probably would be shadow out here, but I'm kind of scared to try to do it with everything being as wet as it is. I guess if I was going to do that, I could let it dry some, and then kind of come back and do something like that. Alright, I think for now though, what I'm going to do is take my script liner and come over here into my bright red. And we'll come right over here under these trees. And I'm going to put my mark on it. And I'm going to call it done. I'm proud of the way it turned out. The only thing I may do if they decide to have the contest is I may come in here and just tap in a little bit of shadow out in here for these trees. And that's as far back as that sun is, I don't know if I even should have to do that or not. But other than that, I'd say it's pretty much a complete painting. Really hope y'all enjoyed it. I know it took let me turn it around where y'all can see it. It took a good long while to paint this one, but like I said, I wanted to take my time with it because I wanted it to turn out right. And I think it looks pretty good. You kind of zoom in on it right here where y'all can see it a little better. How about that? Does that help any? Okay. I heard you. Alright, I'll zoom out. Alright. Thank y'all for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate y'all being here with me from the bottom of my heart. You don't know how much I appreciate it. Remember, I love you guys, and God loves you more. Comment on some of these paintings and let me know, how I'm doing, what I'm doing, tell me something, because I don't know until I hear from y'all. And I really like to know. But with that being said, I think we'll pretty much call it a night. And remember the contest is still going on for June. The cutoff is June 15th. So got to have all the entries in by then. And what else? Subscribers, I think it was 596 when I last looked. So we're 404 away from giving away the paint set now. So that's getting better and better. Alright guys, I'm done talking for tonight. I'm done painting for tonight. I want to thank y'all very much for being here. And I'll see you next time on Painting with Harold.